Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber here with Laura Morby. How you doing, Laura?
Doing great.
So you are a TV star with a premiere coming out October 2nd. We think it's at noon, right?
I'm 99% sure noon. Yes,
Yeah. And you want to give us the title, which you were the inspiration for?
absolutely. It's triple digit flip.
Yes, folks. Triple digit flip is not $100. We are talking 100 grand profit. So I know I'm going to be tuning into this show because I'm interested in making six figures. So October 2nd at noon on A&E.
On A&E, yep.
Woohoo! So, folks, do yourself a favor. Set your, I don't know, a DVR recording device, or just set your calendar to be watching at noon. You'll be watching a whole team of wonderful people. And Laura Morby will, you know, which house is the first episode?
Um, I think it's a house that was full of animals.
Oh, this ought to be good.
So we had to call and get them all removed, which was really sad.
Oh, well, they were alive, right? They weren't.
Yeah, they were alive, thank goodness. I've done some where they're not.
Yeah, I have.
They've been unalived, and
unalived. Yes, I saw that.
That's probably the worst.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not.
Yeah.
Good. But anyways, what we want to do here in these 3 episodes with Laura, because she and I both experienced the last crash. There's a lot of YouTube channels out there making calls and talks and all of this, and they didn't go through it. But I thought you and I should talk about the last crisis, how we saw it. Mm-hmm. So the first topic is going to be what I'll call the transition. And I don't know what it was like for you, Laura, in your market, but in my market, it felt like it happened overnight, right? Everybody was going crazy for houses. I frankly, as I documented in my book, sold into that madness. Mm-hmm. And because I was moving into apartments because houses were unaffordable. And then like seemingly 1 week, 1 month, the party was over. Yeah. And prices started falling. We didn't have a plateau. It was like we hit a peak and it ricocheted down like a tennis ball. I don't know. What was it like for you?
It was 100% like that. So much so that, I had a friend of mine who invested in a spec house, mm-hmm. a multi-million-dollar spec house. And he was told, and what was going on, hey, we're selling these before we're even done. Like we have a line of people that are coming and seeing what we're doing. And it was true. They were selling, frame stage. And so he finished the house and it was worth $2.5 million. And then he was 100% done and had to go refinance out of his construction loan and get a regular loan. Mm-hmm. And his appraisal came back at $600,000. 2 months.
Wow.
2 months. Yeah. It was like, you're talking about a tennis ball ricochet. That's extreme.
Yeah. That's the biggest extreme I've heard of. And that's how it was. Again, folks, people out there talking about the crash like this one, or like we're gonna have one like last time. You weren't paying attention last time because housing went down. And for me, again, I remember agent friends, right? Again, part of my deal is you grow a network in whatever market you're in, right?
Right.
And one day agents are partying like it's 1999, right? Everybody's happy. They're buying new cars. I mean, it was a party. It was the closest thing that I remember the .com era being to Silicon Valley, right? I live in the Silicon Valley. I was in tech in 99, and people were just doing stupid things with money. This was real estate agents right near the peak were the closest to that environment. I remember a 25-year-old realtor buying, I think it was a Maserati. It might've been another exotic car. There was like one in 10 of them ever made. And some realtor in Fresno is buying one. I'm like, what is going on? Right. And sure enough, he ends up losing the car anyways. But it just, and yeah, it was crazy. It was just weird.
If you were in the industry as a realtor or an LO, you mm-hmm. breathed and you made 6 figures. There was nothing secret. There was no secret. It was insane. So yeah. And a lot of those people, you're right. They lost their homes, their cars. They ended up moving back in with mom and dad.
Yeah.
So that's another testament too, to like, Pace always says, make hay while the sun is shining. And I completely agree. But, like when you're making hay, Like, don't go and buy a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Maybe pay off your house, because like the professionals that I saw that were doing stuff like that were able to weather the storm and adapt and not have to move back in with mom and dad and not become alcoholics and not get depressed and, break up their marriage, So it's just one of those things where it's like, don't always plan on it to be perfect, because hopefully it's never like that again. But
oh yeah,
it was extreme. Like, it was extreme,
Yeah.
It was so wonderful, and then it was so terrible.
Yeah, there was no plateau, right? There was like no kind of, that plateau is the only word I can think of. I'm trying to think of the first indicator that I saw, and I think it was realtors calling me up basically saying nobody showed up at the open house. I believe that was kind of the first sign that something was different. Like, literally, like they said, Michael, you don't understand. No one showed up. I think that was the first indication that something might have been different. Do you remember something different?
I don't remember like the exact moment, but I remember things leading up to it. I know Countrywide was like one of the biggest offenders here. Yeah. And so I think some of the things that we started noticing is people were getting, just crazy loans on stuff. And you were just like, how did you get that? And that for me, I think was the first time that I was like, okay, something's messed up. Yeah. And I think probably my first feeling that something was wrong was that appraisal.
Yeah. That appraisal from 2.5 to 600. That's a wake up call. Wow.
And then they were trying to fix it over the next 2 months. 2 months later, an appraisal came in at 480. So
it didn't get better.
It was like, we're talking about like, like there wasn't a plateau, and there also wasn't like a slow fall. It was almost like a free fall.
Yeah, especially for that new construction kind of spec houses, because the demand just disappeared. That's what's very different, is the demand disappeared.
Yes.
Right. I think that's what happened, right? Everybody was partying. Then Countrywide, IndyMac, God, what was it? Washington Mutual? I mean, there were so many, right? They were doing these. What I remember is, and I actually did the research, 14.7% of all loans in 06 were those pick a payment neg am loans. Remember those? Those were
terrible.
Those were terrible. How are you getting a $500,000 house and paying $600 a month? Does anybody think that's going to work? I mean,
oh my gosh,
that was great. And you saw those, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden those didn't work. And then again, right, the tennis ball bounced off, demand stopped. And then what happened is, as demand stopped, people started lowering prices. And my market didn't go from 2.5 to 600, but it went like the first house I sold, 264, it goes all the way up to 300. And then it's like 280, 260, 240. It was kind of like a 5 to 8% drop seemingly every month, all the way down to 75 grand.
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So I guess a couple of points I have here is demand went first. And then I guess what other thing I saw is, so demand went first, and then sellers got scared.
Oh, so scared.
Right. And they just started, this is all coming back to me, right? Demand disappeared. Then if you were ever thinking about selling, you listed, and then it really did feel like a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
Right. It was like, oh, my neighbor listed it, I'm going to make up numbers, 270. I'm going to go at 265. Where today it's like, my neighbor's at 270. I'm going 285.
Yeah.
Right. People were they were absolutely racing to the bottom.
They really were. And that gave us way too much inventory. It was crazy.
Just kept coming, right? It's just, yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah. So that was the peak, folks. Again, it got bad real fast. It ricocheted. You're right. Demand went first. People got scared, and inventory just kept coming.
Yep.
I mean, literally like 5, 6, 7 houses on one block.
Yeah. There's some stuff, like I have some lingering questions. I feel like there were a few people in our industry that actually knew and were clued in enough, and I don't know how. And I'm still not in those circles to ask them, but and maybe they don't want to tell me. Maybe they knew something that they shouldn't. But there were some really big players in the Valley that knew to liquidate at the right time. and they knew to get into trustee sales at the right time. And it was just interesting how ahead of the curve that they were.
Yeah.
And they ended up
cleaning up
for about 8 months until people started picking up on what they were doing, because it was so volatile that I think a lot of people saw that they were making a lot of money, but didn't want to join in what they were doing because it was just too new and it was too crazy.
Yeah.
And those people have gone on to do some crazy things in the Valley. They're very successful. So I wonder how they knew.
Yeah.
I still, to this day, I wonder how they knew. I don't know how they knew, but they knew. And I don't think it was luck, because it was twofold. It was liquidating your current assets and then getting into the right thing at the right time. So I don't know.
I'm curious how fast that was in your market, right? So my market was about 2.5 years from kind of the peak nut. So again, right, I'm an investor. I bought every year, right? I didn't know where the bottom was. I just kept buying better deals, right? But if I looked back at it now, from the peak of the market to where the deals were like, I can't believe they're giving it away for land value. For me, it was about 2.5 years from kind of what I'll call peak to trough. What was it? It seems like it was faster in your market.
I think it might have been a little bit longer, because if I'm correct, I think that the bottom of Phoenix market I believe it was August or September of 2011.
All right. So maybe yeah. Fresno was
about a long way to go.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Do you remember the peak? So what was the peak roughly? It was like 425, something like that?
Yeah.
And then where was the bottom? Where it was like 2.25, 180? I mean, I have no idea.
I think it was sub 2.
Sub 2. Oh.
Not the right kind of sub 2.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Inside joke for the sub 2 community. That's funny. Sub 200 grand.
Yeah.
What is it today? I have no idea. What is Phoenix today?
I think the last I heard is it's 425. It was 410 for a while. Now I hear it's 425.
Yeah. All right, folks. So again, just realize what I saw last time was party, tennis ball ricochet, no demand. People got scared, raced to the bottom. I was buying through the entire time, but for me, it was about 2.5 years. It sounds like for Phoenix, it was a little bit over 3 years. But yeah, you could have made a lot of money. We did get out of houses, so we were in apartments as the things were crashing, so we were fine. But yeah, that the bottom was. And how long was the bottom? I mean, we probably enjoyed 18 months before really anybody else, before the big boys jumped in. I don't know about Phoenix.
Yeah. Right? Well, we had a ton of funds come in, like Invitation Homes and stuff, and so I think 2013 is when things started.
To go back up. Yeah. Very cool.
2013.
So Laura, how can people follow you, be part of your world? And again, let's remind them of the show on the 2nd.
Yeah. So October 2nd, A&E at noon. It's Saturday. It's a weird time, but if you're at home, definitely tune in. It will help us out. I hear for any other episode that we're going to do, the first one's the most important. So if you can only catch one, it would mean a lot if you caught.
Let's all catch it live. Let's not record it or watch it on YouTube. Let's catch it live. Do me a favor. If you're one of my followers, certainly for one of my students, and you're watching it, take a selfie when you see Laura on the screen and tag her and tag me. And we will, I don't know, we'll do something. We'll give away a book or something.
Oh yeah. I would love to participate in that giveaway. Yes. 100%.
Yes. You have a bunch of books, right?
Yes.
So Laura will give away one rental at a time book. So again, watch it live, tag her, tag me. And what is your Instagram page?
My Instagram's Laura Morby with no spaces.
Very cool. Well, do us a favor, folks. I hope a lot of you tag us. Let's have some fun. I can't wait for episode number 2. Thanks, Laura.
Me too. Thanks.